Action! Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, goldfish, children of all ages, although children probably shouldn't be watching this.
I know.
Episode
6.
6.
Question mark?
Of the Waft. Chipper's right here. You can't see him, but he says hello. Welcome to Cycle Theater. Got a lot of words to say over here.
I mean, yeah. Welcome to the Cycle Theater. What am I supposed to say?
I don't know. We're just going to dive in with the reoccurring segment that I think a lot of people really enjoy, and that is the fuck stick of the week. I'd like to make something very clear. Just because each week there's a new fuck stick of the week doesn't mean that if you do something that was previously a fuck stick of the week makes it okay. So parking, if you park in between the lines now and you're like, oh, that's not the fuck stick of the week anymore, no, you're still a fuck stick.
We're just adding on the fuck stick things and then hopefully eliminating them all from the world.
Yeah. And
one fuck stick at a time.
Probably write a book about this someday.
All the fuck sticks out there. Yeah.
I like how we've just got rid of nincompoop and now it's just fuck stick.
I mean, it just rolls off the tongue.
It does. I'm so curious about what newer members or first-time riders at Cycle Bar think, because that word gets thrown around now by not just us,
people
but
will come and be like, oh my god, such a fuck stick, and then there might be like a new member there and we're like, it's kind of how we roll here at Cycle Bar.
I'm very curious of what that person thinks. But you know what? We're just, trying to bring awareness to all the fuck sticks out there and just trying to clean this place up, make it a better place. So, without further Freddy ado, this week's fuck stick of the week is people who pull out onto a main street or highway in front of you while driving, and then you have to hit your brakes.
Yeah, it's even more of a fuck stick when there's no one behind you.
Yes.
And you're like, you could have just waited and gone after me rather than pulling out in front of me and making me slam on my brakes, or like I just swerve around them. But total fuck stick move. Just wait.
Even if there's nothing behind you, if you know that you're going to pull out in front of me and I'm going to have to hit my brakes, don't fucking do it.
Right.
That's all it is.
Or there's some people who I'll give credit to pull out and I think I have to put my brakes on, but then they just gun it. And I'm like, okay, fine. I didn't have to put on my brakes.
I'll applaud them, yeah.
If you're going to get with the program and go as fast as I'm going when you pull out in front of me, then that's fine.
As long as I don't have to touch my brakes, you're cool to pull out in front of me.
Yeah.
But if you pull out in front of me, or you watching this, anyone, if you pull out and the person behind you has to touch their brakes or slow down in any capacity, you are a fuck stick.
Yeah.
There we go. So we got people that pull out in front of other people and they have to slow down, people who do not know how to park in between the lines, and people who do not pick up their doggy doo-doo.
Yes.
All three of those categories, fuck sticks. Moving along. We got a $3 sponsor, ladies and gentlemen. I thought we were stuck there for a second and no one was going to pay us $3, but Kelsey, shout out to you. Thanks for the $3. Will we get 4 next week? Probably not. Emily will show a nipple if you pay for it.
No, Sandra said that my nipples are worth $50, so I will not show a nipple until we get to $50.
I don't pay $50 to see her nipples. This is my nipple pass right there.
Nipple pass.
Nipple pass. That's what that is.
To be fair, I don't think people want to see my nipple. I think they want to see the boob. But,
the reoccurring theme of this podcast is your nipples. I've shown a nipple. I'm not showing both, though.
Yeah.
Won't do it.
That's too much.
Yep, that is just too far for me.
Anyway, Kelsey.
Let's
reel it back in.
Yeah. She would like to know about us and owning a franchise, which is kind of why we are here today. So I'm just going to rattle them off. I looked at these questions for like a second, so I really don't know what's coming here. How do you get started with owning a franchise? What's the process, essentially? It started for us in my job at Budweiser in Kentucky, and I think I made a phone call or like something random.
No, to keep it really quick, is you literally find the franchise you want to open, and then they have a way to reach out. So like we literally just emailed the exponential email, and then they get back to you with like, hey, thanks for your interest. And then pretty much right away, Exponential has something, which is our parent company, called Discovery Day. And they fly you out to Discovery Day because
You fly
so
yourself
many
out.
so many people have opened cycle bars without even taking a class, which is unbelievable, but they just want to open a franchise to be business owners. So they do Discovery Day, which is where you learn about the brand. Obviously we went and we already knew about the brand, and it's also like their interview process for you. So at the end of Discovery Day, they reach out and say, yes, we want you to open a franchise, or no, we don't think you're a good fit. And then you just
Did we
get
have
the ball
to?
rolling.
Did we have to fill out financials before going?
No, you literally, because we got so excited. We went to Discovery Day and we were like, yep, we're all in. And then corporate called us and they were like, we love you guys. We'll support you. And then you fill out the financials and you get fucked.
There's a third party like facilitator in all this, and there was a moment when nobody knows this, but we almost didn't even happen before like signing all the paperwork. I forgot what it was.
It was like my dad didn't want to be the guarantor of the franchise agreement. He said he would be the guarantor of the lease because obviously we need that for you need capital, but he didn't want to be the guarantor of the franchise agreement. And they were like, you guys don't have enough capital because we are fucking broke. And then they were like, we can't do this.
And then the phone hung up, and I don't know if I called you
We
or texted
both,
you.
like,
I
pretty much
just
just cried.
Yeah. Long story short, we're obviously here,
Yes.
but I think Emily's talked about it. I don't really have a problem talking financials. Like Emily put it on her Instagram. It was a $500,000 loan.
Yes.
That is a shit ton of money that we don't have, and God bless Emily's
Well, you have to have
parents.
initial capital.
Yes.
So God bless, shout out Audrey Vest.
Yeah.
And then my parents, who were able to be the guarantors, because you have to have capital for them to even consider you.
Yeah. So if
Then
it wasn't for that,
for the build out, it's a $500,000 loan. It's a $50,000 franchise fee, which you pay right up front.
Yes, a one-time franchise. I think that'll actually get us into another question later on.
Okay.
So before
Anyway.
we're going on here, so you're the owners, but at one time there was a manager lady. I love the way that you put that.
Manager lady.
Does corporate tell you who needs to be on staff? They give you kind of a rough outline, and they encourage a GM because they want the owners to just like be hands off and magically make money. It doesn't happen like that.
Or it does. Like I said, a lot of people who open the franchise haven't even taken a cycle bar class, so they're just like these business people who then hire basically us to run the studio, and they pay them a salary, and then the owners can be super hands off. That's not how we wanted to do it. We wanted to be in the studio and running it, which is why we don't have a GM.
Some people buy a franchise they think it's going to be quick cash. My advice, and this is just my advice, if you're going to open a franchise, or if you're just going to open a business or be an entrepreneur, if you don't love the day-to-day ins and outs, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Period. Because
you gotta love what you do.
love what you do.
Yeah.
Because I would rather make the $400 every 2 weeks that we make on our paychecks, which is another question you got into, and love what I'm doing in this room versus sitting behind a desk making six figures. Period.
Yeah. So they don't tell you like who. They give you the outline of like you have to have the cycle stars, you have to have the CBX, the front desk staff.
Yeah.
They definitely pushed us to have a GM, which is why we did it at first. But then we realized that the GM doesn't have enough skin in the game. Like if they fail at this job, they just fail at this job and get a new one. Whereas like if we fail, we're absolutely fucked.
We're in a lot of debt.
We have really high expectations of a GM, and so that's why it just doesn't work for us. But yeah.
So that's who we staff. You have a rough outline, you can kind of plug and play. They give you rough numbers on what you want to hit. We were overstaffed on our front desk staff when we first opened. We had like 10, which you kind of need because it's chaos in here with all these new riders. But once you get like things under control, you kind of realize just what you need and how much you need.
I think a really interesting part of opening it was the location. So basically, like we had a whole list of like 10 cities that we thought we would want to open one in, and we narrowed it down to like places that didn't have a cycle bar. Obviously, Dwight knew Omaha, so we decided that one. But then they give you like a real estate broker, and you narrow down like a zip code, and you buy like the rights to that area. And so corporate helps you narrow down like based on like population and income, like what area you should open a cycle bar in. And they don't allow you to open a cycle bar anywhere. Like based on their data, you have to choose an area that they feel would be successful.
Yeah, so like if...
Because people are always like, oh, you should open one in like Mexico or Hawaii. Well, like corporate actually wouldn't allow that because they have to have proof that there's the right like demographic to support it.
So like Fremont or my hometown Columbus, like I could be like, we're opening one here. Like you would have to like present a case to them, and then they would say yes or no, probably no. So interesting back end stuff.
Yeah.
And then you say, what quote unquote direction do you have to take from corporate?
I think the most strict thing obviously they give you the blueprint and the design, and like you have to have the bikes and you have to have the cycle theater and you have to have your studio look the same way because they want all the studios to look the same way. The most strict thing is the instructing. They have a very specific format that we have to teach, and it's called being on brand, and you legit like cannot go off brand. So teaching is the most restrictive thing rather than...
I honestly, in terms of franchises, we didn't look at any of the franchises, but knowing like Orange Theory is super by the book and there's like no deviating from the path. With us, we have some leeway in terms of our pricing, in terms of the specials we run. With them, it's like, here it is, you do it, and that's that.
Yeah.
So
they have sales calls every month where they give you suggestions of like, here's what the promotions we suggest you run are. But most of the time, we just sit down and create our own, or we listen to the calls and we're like, oh, that's a good idea, we'll do that, and we kind of plug and play. But there's no like, you have to be running this special at this time.
I think this is a good segue into your next question. Their direction is make money so they can make money.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, that's business, so I get it.
Yeah.
Because your last question here is, how do you guys get paid, and how does money have to go back to corporate somehow? How does money have to go back to corporate somehow? Yes. Corporate gets 9% of everything we make. So that sounds like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, our rent at Village Point here was at a discounted rate because they knew the Cycle Bar brand. If it was Dwight and Emily Cycling Studio, there would have been no discount. So take what you want. And also this room, we're not designing this on our own. Like,
yeah, we had initially thought about opening our own studio, but like, I mean, you guys have seen the technology. We can't create that technology. No. And then just the support, yes, like we got a break on our lease because they knew Exponential. So it's like, it's super beneficial to be associated with a franchise. In return, you pay them 9% of everything that we make.
Yep, it's broken up into like 7% of sales, 2% that goes to a marketing fund.
Marketing
Yeah,
fund.
I won't get into the ins and out of that because I think the 2% is bullshit, but whatever.
Anyway.
And then how do we get paid? I think I alluded to it before. I'm just gonna say that I'd make $400 every 2 weeks.
I think mine's like $375.
It's like $390. I round it up. Like, we pay ourselves enough to pay the bills.
Like, I think I could be on food stamps, honestly. Like, we make negative money.
At the end of the day, when we have a $500,000 loan on the line, I would rather eat a shit sandwich for a year or two and pay that loan off and then reap the fruits of our labor, I think is the saying, in a couple years, hopefully.
Basically, what we do is we don't pay ourselves. We pay the bare minimum to be able to get food, and then whatever is, we have a number in our bank account, and whatever is extra, we put right in towards the loan so we can pay it off as quickly as possible. I mean, I'll pat ourselves on the back. We had a $500,000 loan, and we've paid half of it off.
We're give or take half. I don't know the exact number, but COVID honestly kind of
helped us.
Hurt and helped us because it killed our membership base. We went from over 400 members to like 120. That sucked, but shout out to most of the people that watch this podcast are OG Cycle Bar fam, and you are the reason that this is still chugging along. So appreciate that. And also COVID with the PPP relief. We didn't really get much, but anything helps. Like at the end of the day, it definitely has helped. So it's still scary every day when you think about the looming number of the loan we took out. But going back to what I said before, I love every single day waking up. I don't sleep in past 5 a.m., but maybe one day a week, and I love it way more than any other job I've ever had.
Yeah. And I honestly think it's super beneficial to live like in such a way where you make no money and you prove to yourself that you can live that way, because I think when we do actually make money, we won't then go spend it, because I know what I need to live and be happy and be satisfied, and it's not a huge salary.
Yeah.
And so I think when we finally make money, we'll be that much more frugal because we know we don't need it.
Yes. A lot of people, I don't know a lot of people, but definitely people get into business or entrepreneurship because they want to be rich. Like, being rich doesn't solve your happiness. Be happy first. And then if you get rich, awesome. But be happy first is my best words of advice. And if you have anything else, Kelsey, shoot me a message. Anyone else has a question, let us know. We are happy to answer. But it's going to cost you $4 or $50 if you want to see your tits.
This is just... I feel like a prostitute right now. But now we make no money. And so I honestly think about stripping quite often. Because I'm like, I could make fucking money real quick if I just showed some tits and then I wouldn't be so poor. It's tempting.
I can't wait to clip this now so you can post it on your Instagram and see what kind of weird shit you get in the comments.
Buy a membership so Emily doesn't have to become a stripper.
Yeah.
Please.
Here we go. Actually, Kelsey had one more question. What's your Venmo? At Dwight-Coulter.
Hey.
The last 4 digits. We share money, don't worry. The last 4 digits of my phone number when I ask are 5039. So if you want to send the $4 sponsorship or just a couple pennies, whatever. At Dwight-Coulter on Venmo. Thanks, Kelsey.
Yes, thank you. $4 will get us, 2 Costco hot dogs?
Couple Dogger tins. We're in
Yep.
business. Love it. Okay, that was that. $4 sponsorship. Last thing, and I know this is kind of going to be a long episode, but that's okay. In my notes, last week we talked about it. Does your partner need to know everything? My note says, jerking off and telling your partner everything.
Jerking off and telling your partner everything. Oh, God.
You started. I don't know where this is going.
I personally don't feel like your partner needs to know like every single thing. I mean, obviously like things that matter, yes. But I think there's things that will make your partner like insecure or like get in their head more if they know rather than they don't know. And they're literally tiny things that I don't think your partner needs to know.
We've discussed this with me. I feel like early on, I gotta take a big old dump, or I gotta go poop.
Yes, like I don't need to know that. Because at the end of the day, you want me to have sex with you, and when you're saying I gotta take a big dump, I don't want to have sex with you. So like say I'm gonna go take a meeting, or like I'm just go to the restroom, don't fucking tell me. Like there's certain things that your partner doesn't need to know. Like I'm a woman, if I'm having that time of the month, he probably doesn't need to know the details, because that just kind of takes the sexiness out of it. And I was listening to a podcast, and yes, you have to be best friends, but at the end of the day, you also have to stay attracted to each other. And I think little things can just like kind of take away from that if you're too honest.
Yeah, at this point, you realize when I go into the bathroom too, and I'm gone for 10 minutes, kind of what happened.
Right, so I don't need to know. And when you come out, I don't need to like, woo, things got ugly in there. Like, I don't need to know that.
Sometimes I don't say that for you. That's just kind of like a me talking to myself.
Internal monologue sometimes is where we need to keep things.
Yeah, I don't remember. I feel like you were talking about something else last week with that segue.
I mean, I don't know how in depth you want to get.
I feel like it's you were gone on a trip and I got horny and I watched porn or something.
He did,
something
yes.
along those lines.
This is actually a very interesting topic that I'd be curious to know women and men their thought on. So I went on a trip, Dwight got horny and watched porn and didn't tell me. But when I came home and I could tell. Because like it was different. And then I literally called him out and I was like, did you watch porn? Because the way that we just was way different.
Had sex.
Yes. And then he was like, yeah. And then I got super insecure about it because I was like, that it should be us. And the thought of him, jerking off to another girl's boobs was almost like it just got in my head. And then the fact that he was like trying new things, I'm like, are you not satisfied and you have to watch porn? It was a whole thing. Thank God for Erica. I called her. She talked me out of my like craziness and we moved on. But like those type of things, like, do you tell your partner?
I didn't tell you. You figured it out. So.
Right. That scenario, it was obvious. But yeah, I mean, like, how honest do you be with your partner? That's a legit question. We're new to marriage. We don't know.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Don't talk about pooping. Don't talk about playing with yourself. Anything else?
But on the other side, I think it's fascinating. I didn't know that like guys have to do that more often. And so then it triggers me to be like, okay, Emily, like you need to try to satisfy your husband more often because clearly you need it more than I do. And so it's good to know those things on the flip side because then as a wife, I can be like, he needs that more than I do. So as a wife, I can try.
To segue to wrap this up, if you were gonna own a business, especially with
just off your sex life,
especially with your like partner, significant other, wife, husband, whatever it is, peace out.
That's when you get a sex counter to keep yourself accountable. I feel like people with kids will understand. Like you have to plan it and you have to hold yourself accountable to it. Because when you're tired and you're running a business and you always talk about Cycle Bar, that's not very romantic. It's
awesome to work together. We get to see each other all the time, and like you're my best friend, so I love it. But like I think last night I had a little bit of a headache. It was 9 o'clock, and it's like I gotta wake up at 4 a.m. And you're just like, so you want to have sex? I'm just like,
We
no,
have
I
this
don't.
thing we do where like I'll be like, oh, I'm so tired, and he's like, so what you're saying is you want to have sex, and so we always do that when we're like, I'm tired, my
Yeah.
body hurts. We're like, so we should have sex, and then
Yeah.
the answer is always no.
Also, don't pile on 3 animals or kids.
Or kids. Anyway,
That's all we
that's
got.
all we got. Yeah, it was probably a long one.
Probably action-packed episode. I didn't test the microphone in here, so hopefully you can hear this. Next week, episode 7. Who's gonna be the $4 sponsor or the $50 tit sponsor? I got my free titty pass right here. Or is it a nipple pass?
Nipple pass, you said, but I mean it's a titty pass too. And
Hey, you have a free titty pass too, so
I do.
it goes both ways. My little,
It's the most frisky we'll get today, so enjoy it.
my little A cups. Till next time.
Peace out, Cub Scouts.
All right, there we go.
My butt hurts so
I have to pee real bad.
bad. Titties.